Ciao friends! In this video we will solve in DAX a visualization problem you might have with a cross-highlight feature in Power BI reports. Suppose you have two dates in a sales table, order date, delivery date, and you want to create two different charts, one by delivery date, one by order date, but when you select a month by order date, you want to see the distribution using the cross-highlight in the other chart by delivery date. It seems something easy to do, but in reality it hides a few complexities, so we will see what is the scenario I quickly represented by just describing it, but then we will see how to solve the problem, trying to find a workaround to the limitations we might have in Power BI. Let's go! So let's start introducing a simple Contoso report where we have two measures based on two different dates, but a single date table that we use as a shared date dimension for both the matrix and the chart we see in this report. For example, here we have the quantity ordered, the quantity delivered for the orders that we received in or delivered in May 2017. The same information is available in this bar chart, and we can see side by side the quantity ordered and delivered for each month. The model behind this is the following. We have we just isolated two tables here, which are the sales table and the date table. And as you see, we have the same date column in the date table connected to the order date in the active relationship and to the delivery date in the inactive relationship. Now, how can we obtain the result that we see now? We have two measures. The quantity ordered is simply a sum of the sales quantity column, and this will use the active relationship with the order date. The quantity delivered basically activates the inactive relationship between delivery date and date and shows the same sum of sales quantity, but this time the number is different because we are grouping by using the delivery date. So far, so good. So where is the problem? The moment we want to show this information in two different charts, we probably want to create something similar to this other visualization. In this case, we have we placed the two measures, quantity ordered and quantity delivered, in two different charts. And of course, the date table we use is still the same. So date is the same in this chart and in this chart. So far, so good. Now, when I click on a month, for example, by clicking the quantity ordered in September, we see that we are highlighting September 2017 also for quantity delivered. So the meaning of what we're doing, we are filtering a month and we show the measures for that month. So far, so good. But a requirement we might have is a different one. Because the meaning of these measures is the amount of quantity delivered or ordered in a particular month, the underlying orders are different orders or the same orders in the same month. So guess what? If I isolate the orders, the orders received in September 2017, I might want to see when these orders have been delivered. And so I would like to see, using the cross-highlighting, not just the entire September 2017 like I'm seeing now, but I would like to see the portion of September 2017 that corresponds to orders delivered in the same month where they have been received, but probably I will like to highlight parts of the following months in case I have orders that have been received in September 2017 but have been delivered later. And I want to see this in a graphical way. Just to give you an idea, we can already see the final result we want to obtain is something like that. If I click on September 2017, I see the the quantity delivered in September and in October cross-highlighted in this chart, which is the quantity delivered in the other months. And the same if I do the opposite. So if I click in September 2017, now I'm doing the opposite operation. So I want to know when did we receive the orders of the goods that we delivered in September 2017. So this is the goal we want to obtain, but step by step, now we want to see how to do that, starting from this situation. And this situation actually doesn't work because when I filter something, I simply apply the same filter over the same date in the other chart. So we want to change this. How can we do that? So first of all, we have to solve a conceptual problem. If we have a single date table, we cannot have at the same time a cross highlight working on two different dates. It's the same problem we have in case we want to display in a matrix on the rows the month of the order date and on the columns the month of the delivery date. Let's try to represent the matrix with the two dates. If I create a new matrix in this report and I use the year, month, and let's say quantity ordered, let's increase the font a little bit so that it is more visible. Let's use 16. So the idea is that I would like to have another month on the columns. So column by column, I would like to represent the month of the delivery. And if I try to do that, I actually have a problem. You see that in a single visualization, I cannot use the same column twice. I mean, I can try, but the visualization doesn't work. So you need two dates in a situation like that. See, if you want to create two different dates in the same visual, you need two dates. And we will see that we need two dates also to solve the cross-highlighting problem, because even though we have different visualizations with different dates, the moment we transfer the filter from one visual to another, we actually want to transfer a filter based on another date. And the only way to communicate this in the filter context is by having two different dates table. So going back to the model, the first problem we have to solve, we need another date table. So we copy the date table, we import the date table twice, or we simply duplicate the date table, creating a calculated column that copies the date table, and we obtain the delivery date this way. So this is the delivery date I already prepared. I prepared this delivery date as a calculated table. So delivery date is basically just a copy of the date table. And of course, you have to also arrange all the attributes, all the hierarchies if you want to enable them. And once we have these two dates, we can connect the delivery date to the date column of the delivery date table. So the delivery date column in the sales table to the delivery date in this table. Now, think about what happens. Now, when I group by a column of the delivery date table, the measure order date actually is filtered by the delivery date. And if we have filters apply on both tables, the sum of the quantity will only include those orders received in an order date that belongs to the month selected in the date table and has been delivered in the month selected in the delivery date table. So by just using this technique, I can go back to my report. Now I can use the year month column of the delivery date table in the column of the matrix. And now you can see that we can analyze month by month. Remember, in the rows we have the order date, and we can see that the order received in June 2017 have been delivered in June 2017 and in July 2017. So we already moved a step forward to our solution. But of course, this is not enough, because this is a solution if we want to create a visualization like the matrix, but the matrix is actually not very comfortable to use, because look at that. We have most of the rows are basically blank, because most of the orders have been delivered just the same month or the next month. So it is not very clear, not very easy to analyze that. And so we would like to enable our visualization here to work with the concept we have seen in the other example. So if I go back in this chart, at the moment, let me replace the quantity delivered with the quantity ordered. Now, of course, these two charts now are the same, and I still filter only one date, but what if I change the day table I have in the second chart. So instead of using the year month from the day table, I replace this year month in the axis with the year month of the delivery date, this way. Now you see that something already happened. If I filter January, you see that only part of January is selected. The highlighted part corresponds to the amount of orders that have been delivered in that month, that have been also ordered the same month. So order date and delivery date are within the same month. But this small part in February, the highlighted part in February represents which part of the orders that we received as an order date in January 2018 has been delivered the next month in February 2018. And this works for every month. So you can immediately see how much the difference and how much over time these orders have been delivered with some delay. This example, of course, only has goods delivered the next month, just a few days later. But in a real world situation, the distribution could be very different. Now, this works if we apply a filter in this visualization by order date. What happens if we do the opposite? What happens if we select September 2017 here? We actually have this working, but at this point, think about what we're doing. We are using two different dates, and we are using a column, which is not a column, a measure, which is the quantity ordered, that could be hard to understand. I mean, this solution works, but now it could be, let's say, difficult to use, because in many reports, we want to do what we did in the first visualization. And in the first visualization, we wanted to have a quantity ordered and quantity delivered as two different measures using a single date table. The idea of using a second date table is usually an exception just for a few visualizations. And now the presence of this second date table actually changes the meaning of the measure quantity order, because quantity by order day, so the measure quantity ordered has a different meaning depending on the date that you select. So let's say that we want to improve the discoverability of this information. So this is the visualization I created. So you see that now this is working in both ways, but the name of the measure I'm using is quantity ordered. This could be not user-friendly. What happens if instead of using the quantity ordered measure, which actually works as we want, we use the quantity delivered measure? So if I select this visual and I replace quantity ordered with quantity delivered, this is what happens. So you see that when I filter by quantity ordered, now the filter doesn't work. You see exactly the same selection by a single month. Basically, what is not working is the cross highlight. We are losing the cross highlight because the quantity delivered internally is changing the filter by transfer to the sales table by the day selection. And so this basically removes the ability to see the orders that have been delivered in December, but that have been ordered in November or in previous months. If we do the opposite though, so if we select something in the quantity delivered, this still works. Why this is happening? If we go back to the diagram view, when we have the measure that says that we want to see the value, we want to see quantity delivered at the bottom. So no problems, because we select by quantity delivered, we are ignoring. So this table is actually not getting any filter from the date table, because only the delivery date table is included in that visualization, and that visualization is filtering sales. And this works and transfer the cross filter to the other table, to the other visualization, because the other visualization actually has a filter from delivery date. This relationship is active and transfer the filter. So guess what? When I filter October 2017, this visualization, the top visualization, has two filters over two different dates table. A filter over October 2017 for delivery date, and a filter for October 2017 or September 2017 for order date. Because every time this visual is populated, there are several queries. One that just get the total of the quantity by order date, ignoring the filter coming from the other visuals, and one that consider the filter coming from the other visual, but this filter comes from the delivery date table. So in this case, this works, but why this doesn't work? Why if I do the opposite? So if I select the date table, the analysis, the cross-highlight in the delivery date doesn't work. So in this case, we have the opposite situation. We have an existing filter on the date table. We have a filter in delivery date that defines the axis for the visualization. But the cross filter doesn't work because we're using delivery date. And delivery date transfer the filter, the selection you made in the date table, not on the order date column, which is this one, but we enable the inactive relationship by delivery date. If you remember, the measure quantity delivered activates the relationship between delivery date and date. So this is the problem we have to face. We have to change something so that this visualization works correctly. So we have different options here. Let's start with the first one, which is, let's say that we want to modify the behavior based on what? Well, based on the fact that if we have a filter in delivery date, we don't want to change the relationship. So the idea is that the only case where quantity delivered should actually use this inactive relationship is when we don't have any filter over the delivery date table. But if we included the delivery date table in the visual, we probably want to keep the standard behavior by using order date. So this way, the same measure will work in two different situations. Will work in this visualization, showing the value by delivery date with a single selection in the date table, but in this other visualization will work according to our requirements. So let's change this definition by introducing a condition and the condition we can write is we want to check whether there is a filter, any filter applied to the delivery date table. When this happens, we don't want to use this calculate. So this calculate is what we want to do when we don't have a filter over delivery date. If we have a filter over delivery date, we just want to use the simple sum of sales quantity without any change. Let's remove the help and let's see if I did correctly. So let's just reduce the font and close this one. Okay. Okay, this should be correct. Let me try to confirm. Sometimes IntelliSense shows errors, but you have always to confirm the measure to check whether the error is a real error or not. So now that I changed this definition, let's see what is the behavior in my report. So let's go back here. So when I select now month in the quantity ordered, you see that the cross highlight is working for quantity delivered. And of course, when I select something in quantity delivered, you see that the cross highlight is working also for the quantity ordered. Make a check. Let's check whether this is still working. Yes, okay, this is fine. So basically we introduced a second date table in the model, but the measure that usually works with a single date table, in case there is something activated in the second date table, then uses the default behavior, the standard relationship, just to enable this cross highlight behavior that we described. Now, this could be already a good solution, by the way. So this works, but this can generate another problem. The presence of a table with an active relationship will affect any measure. And I mean, this is something that you can see as a benefit, but this is also something that could confuse users. So in case you want to make sure that only the measures that have been designed to work with the delivery date will actually work with delivery date in a nice way, what you want to do is you want to obtain a no filter. You don't want to see any filter when you filter something in the delivery date if the measure has not been designed to manage that. But at the same time, when you need to transfer the filter, you want to use the relationship. So the idea is that you might want to disable this relationship between delivery date and sales. So if I remove this checkbox, I disable this relationship, and now the relationship between delivery date and all the measures of my model is like delivery date is a disconnected table. It is not connected to anything. Of course, if I do this, then I have to activate this relationship when I need it. So whenever we assume that the relationship was active, now we have to manually enable it. So for example, in this case, if delivery date is selected and we want to use that relationship, we actually have to enable the relationship between sales delivery date and delivery date. Whereas in the other case, we still use the second inactive relationship we have between date and delivery date, which is the common case we have in the other cases. Once we do that, we also have to do something similar in the quantity order measure, because in this case, this is remember this was working correctly if the delivery date was active when we had the situation for the cross filter when we wanted to transfer that filter. So in this case, we want to do something similar. So if there is a filter active in the delivery date table, we want to propagate that filter to this sum of sales quantity, activating the relationship exactly like we did in the other measure. So we want to use the relationship between sales delivery date and delivery date. Otherwise, if the filter is not there, we just sum sales quantity. So this idea is that we control when to activate the relationship between delivery date and the sales table only when there is a filter in the delivery date, only for those measures that have been designed to support that situation. So at this point, if I go back to my report with the two charts, you should see that even though we have an inactive relationship here and an inactive relationship in this other connection, when I click on December, October, September, in the quantity order, I see the cross highlight in the quantity delivered. If I do the opposite, I have the exact same behavior. But at the same time, any other use of the measures in any report or measure that have not been designed to work this way will simply ignore the delivery date selection, so you will not see undesired side effects in the other measures of your model. So we have seen that we can control the cross-highlight behavior by manipulating relationships in your model and also by using a second date table when this is required. Now remember, having a single date table is the best practice, but in order to manage particular repo requirements, we might need a second date table. In those cases, in order to avoid confusion, we might want to create a table, create an inactive relationship, and enable this relationship only when it is needed and only when it is used with measures that have been designed to manage that selection. Enjoy DAX!